We can't expect God to do all the work.
That's the first thing I recorded.
We're off to a good start.
Hello, this is Bloobcast. I'm Ewan.
Hello, I'm Rob.
Hello, I'm James. But the question is, why are we the Bloobcast?
Yes.
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 I just noticed that Rob posted a bloody Ainsley Harriet meme on the chat.
Pour that on top of our chicken. You pick up your palette knife and then work that into meat. Give your meat a good old rub. That's it. Nice and hot. Hot and spicy meat. Yeah, boy.
Okay.
Okay, right. Today we're going to be discussing a little game that has been part of my life since, I don't know how long, probably since the beginning at this stage. A little game about a little purple dragon called Spyro.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, like, he is amazing. Like, the character Spyro, best video game character ever, I think.
Oh, I agree. And the thing is, I didn't get into Spyro till I think it was about 6 or so years ago, which is interesting because I imagine you two have coming at it from having played it since childhood, whereas I got into it when I was 20.
Seriously?
Wow.
I did not know that. Oh, wow.
Yeah, we'll get into that when we talk about how we discovered Spyro. But
Okay, so Spyro the Dragon is one of the earliest kind of mainstream kind of mascot characters that came out in the late 90s, I want to say. Is it late 90s? Just double check that.
1998, yeah.
Yeah.
1998.
And he was a PlayStation 1 video game character who had 3 video games comprised into a trilogy. And he was on par with Crash Bandicoot. He was developed by the developer Insomniac Games, and he became basically a bit of an icon for the PlayStation. And his gameplay centered around kind of a platformer action game, which was a bit more vastly complex than your typical sort of platformer like Super Mario 64 or Crash Bandicoot. It was a bit more open world in the sense that you could run around massive environments and explore and do multiple goals simultaneously. It was very different from your average platform game for the PlayStation or N64.
Well, that's the big thing, is that Spyro is clearly a platformer in the Mario 64 mold, in that, Mario is all of it. The Mario 64 is that you've got this one big hub world, and then you go into all of these different little sub-levels and sub-worlds through portals. So you've got that basic same premise in Spyro, but what Spyro does is just completely expand on that concept.
Because you get multiple different homeworlds and stuff. Because Mario 64, you just got the big castle. In each Spyro game, you've got different homeworlds you travel between, and each has about 5 or 6 levels in each one.
Yeah, and each one has their own unique boss, and they all have their own hidden secrets and things to discover, and different characters. And of course, then the other big difference with Spyro to Mario is Spyro's moveset, because he is a dragon. that allows for a lot of really fun creativity with his moveset that is just so unique to him. You don't see a character like that. They were I know the developers were originally thinking of an anthropomorphic dragon, which you can kind of see with the designs of the dragon, of the adult dragons in the first game. Where they're all standing up.
Oh yeah.
But I think they realized that there was just a lot more they could do if he was more like an animal, more running around as a quadruped.
The thing that weirds me out is, apparently he was originally going to be green, and I cannot imagine him green.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, he is a dragon. Your main thoughts for dragons is that they're either going to be like red or green.
I mean, the reason he wasn't green is because he blended in too much to like the grassy levels.
Is that an actual like developer's detail then?
That is actually why they changed him from green to purple. And I actually prefer him as purple because it makes him more iconic.
He's Spyro the Purple Dragon. That's like again one of his hallmarks is his color. He's a little purple dragon.
Yeah. One thing I just wanted to sort of go on, because you mentioned like how the design of the dragon like allows for like a lot more like move sets and stuff like that. I gotta say it expands over like the original trilogy. Like he gets more moves as he goes along. I mean, by the third game he's riding a skateboard, so you know.
Oh yeah.
The skateboard in Spyro 3 is probably one of the coolest and most fun parts of not just that trilogy, but all of gaming. It's up there for me.
He's spouting fireballs and gliding and like doing like I think he does like a belly flop at one point or something like that.
Just like head smash.
Head smash. Sorry, no, I'm getting confused with Crash Bandicoot. Yeah.
One of the developers, John Fiorito, talked about how what was really cool was the way the trilogy developed. He said that with the first game, you know, you're always proud of your baby. It's your first game, you loved it, but obviously it was still very skin and bones.
Yeah.
He said that the second game was when they had everything that they wanted done right. You know, like all of the kind of mechanics.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But then with the third game, they said that's when we started experimenting and going really crazy and just putting in a ton of like really fun, crazy mechanics that.
I really love that. That's really cool because, like, they're basically finding their feet, aren't they? Like throughout this trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, because I played the three games in the reverse order, so of course my views are a bit slightly different. So if I played the first one first, I might be a bit more impressed with it when I played it. But when I started with 3, I was like, this is like gaming bliss.
Oh no, the first game is a massive, like, if you were playing it 3-1. It's a massive downgrade. Like it's actually crazy how much they improved on the concept. Like Spyro just moves so much more fluidly by the third game. Like just little things like the hover mechanic they added in 2 completely changed flying. You know, things like that.
I really just think it's so cool that we have a platforming gaming protagonist that is a dragon. Like literally,
of course,
it's the first kind of platforming character that I've seen that is a dragon, and I've never seen anything else overtake him. But like, let's be honest, who doesn't like dragons?
This was the thing that really won me over as a kid because I was obsessed with dragons.
So was I.
The whole mythology of them. Any reference to dragons in mythology and legend, I would eat up as a kid. Fairy tales, anything, you know. So I was obsessed with like the story of Merlin with like it's like the red and white dragons that he found under the castle. This is like an actual Arthurian legend. And you know, and then of course things like Chinese dragons. I loved going to like Chinese New Year in Chinatown just to see like the dragon that was going around the town, and they would like throw cabbage into its mouth.
My cabbages.
So I think, James, I get the feeling you may have also had a dragonology book, but then maybe I don't know.
You're absolutely correct. I actually have it on my shelf next to me.
I just knew of all the people I know, James would also have a dragonology.
I need to sit down and read through it at some point. Actually, it's pretty amazing. Like it's got like a whole dragon anatomy and everything. It's like
they explained how like fire breathing works.
There's like little pop out bits. It's just such a cool book, man.
That sounds mind blowing.
Wait, Rob, you don't know this? You don't know?
Rob's older than us. So you won't have seen it, I don't think.
I've never really looked into like dragons, which is weird. It's like, I mean, I just think, dragons, they're cool, but I've never really thought to look into like lore behind them or anything.
Sure.
That's fair. Yeah, you're more of a sci-fi guy, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm very much more into my science fiction than my fantasy.
That's
aside from stuff like aside from stuff like Lord of the Rings, and there's a couple other bits here and there, but a lot of fantasy just kind of, I think it's aesthetically just doesn't really do much for me.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, another thing that I was obsessed with as a kid was The Hobbit with I'm going to call him Smaug.
Smaug?
His name's Smaug. I'm not going with Smaug. Smaug is stupid. They pronounce it's stupid. His name's Smaug because Smaug sounds more like a dragon. It sounds like smoke. Anyway, Spyro.
But no, there's a thing that I wanted to explore is that, like, during the 90s and the 2000s, there was a more, like, I think there was a more keen interest in dragons, I think. In fiction, video games, everything. You know, like, you look back to that period, there was, like, the American Dragon cartoon show, for instance.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Dante Barco, aka Rufio from Hook, and Zuko from The Last Airbender.
Yeah. Just,
awesome.
you know, there was a lot of dragons in, like, there was a Xiaolin Showdown dragon, for instance. Jackie Chan had a dragon, you know, and what was
Dragon Ball Z as well, kind of.
What was that series of films as well? The series of films that involved a dragon with his heart. Dragonheart? Is it Dragonheart?
It's Dragonheart.
Yeah, Dragon.
It's funny you mentioned that because that was the original inspiration for Spyro.
Snappity-doo.
Also, everyone's favourite, Aragon.
Yeah.
To be fair, apparently those books are quite good. I need to get into them at some point.
One of my colleagues pronounced Aragon as Iragon, which made me chuckle the other day. So it's weird that Aragon's coming up a lot lately. He was talking about it like he was. Yeah, he said the exact same thing as you, James, is that he needs to get around to reading them eventually.
I mean, I remember seeing the film in the cinema when it came out, and I think it was
it's bad, isn't it?
Scene at the time.
Oh,
it's basically it's literally Star Wars, the original Star Wars film, but thrown into a fantasy setting. The plot beats are exactly the same.
Spoilers, that is literally what the books are like as well.
So, well,
if you've seen Star Wars, you've read Aragon.
Oh god, yeah, 100%. Let's spin this back to Spyro though, in the sense of the story. In the story of Spyro, so Spyro, I'm going to be honest, is not a story-oriented game, but it does have a fun, quirky kind of like, you know, good versus evil storyline going out for out.
Well, and it has a great cast of characters as well, at least from the second game onwards. They introduced like so many new characters. Like you've got Hunter, and you get, of course, in the third game, you get characters you can actually play as, like Sergeant Bird and Agent 9.
Oh, we're just gonna have a whole thorough discussion on Sergeant Bird later on.
We're gonna discuss Sergeant Bird. Is Hunter a cheater?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
You might be a cheater to connect to on that last episode.
You know, I was just about to say, like, Beast Wars Cheetah just evolved into Cheetah in Spyro.
Yeah. No, James, you're right. The story always kind of took a backbench to the gameplay in Spyro. Like, the first game is very, like, you know, there's literally a cutscene at the beginning where Nasty Nork, the villain, goes, I don't like you dragons, and then he, like, turns all the dragons into stone. And that's
because the dragons were bad-mouthing him, so it was like, how dare you bad-mouth me?
They're literally bad-mouthing him live on TV. They have like a movie camera and a boom mic. So there's apparently TV in the Spyro universe.
Oh yeah, they got like microphones. There's like so many anachronisms because
they don't care.
That's one of the things I love about Spyro. Is like there's all these different kind of worlds. Like there's in Spyro, there's this couple of worlds with like robots in like future cities. There's like ancient Egypt.
They're like robot businessmen though. They're all like off to work. There's like a robot
Spyro
farmyard.
Got like and there's also in Spyro 3, one of my favourites is you've got Wild West dinosaurs.
Yeah. Spyro 3, like just playing the games recently, Spyro 3 really ups the ante on the level design and the game worlds.
Do you know,
like they're really memorable.
I can compare it more to a Nickelodeon cartoon than I can a fantasy trilogy of films.
That's very accurate.
Yeah, like you look at like cartoons and stuff like that. Often they're not plot driven; they're character driven. We remember the characters in shows like SpongeBob, for instance, and coincidentally, they share the same voice actor. SpongeBob.
Tom Kenny.
Tom Kenny is Spyro.
So in the first game, he was voiced by, I forget the voice actor's name, but he voiced Rocco in Rocco's Modern Life.
Okay.
I noticed that he's got a bit of a "it looks like I got things to do" kind of voice, and it's like, oh dear. but he's like, "Hey, I'm Spyro." No, I can't do a voice of it. Sorry. Someone do a better voicing for me. But like, basically, I think when you look at like cartoons on Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon, the characters speak for themselves rather than the stories. And I think with Spyro, we remember the characters more than the stories of those games.
Well, Spyro, he really has, for me, you can kind of see the like almost like, you know, the DreamWorks eyebrow. You know that concept?
Yeah.
I always get that thing with Spyro where he's got like the raised eyebrow. He's a 90s kid with attitude, is what I'm meaning. Is that like he's got that same kind of look? He goes skateboarding with his skateboarding pal Hunter. Like they're going for a very specific kind of 90s cool that I really appreciate.
Have you played? Was it the Lego Island game?
Yes.
By any chance?
I love the Lego Island.
The protagonist is like the skateboarding pizza delivery dude or self-proclaimed dude with the food named Pepperoni.
Oh wow,
that's amazing! And he has to go save the world from the Brickster.
Oh yeah, the Brickster who breaks out of prison using a pizza to melt the lock.
Watch this. A dash of jalapeno, a touch of anchovy, a little of this, a little of that, and voila! Step back and watch my dragon breath blow. Uh-oh. See you later, Brickolator. Hey!
It's interesting seeing, this kind of like... he's kind of a fourth wall breaking character. I mean, Sparks literally looks at the camera sometimes. Sparks the dragonfly, we should mention, is his little companion that flies around with Spyro, and it's his life meter. His health meter, yeah.
Sparks.
But yeah, they look at the camera, you know.
Sparks is a very cool companion, though. Like, I mean, for the first two games, I want to say, he doesn't have any dialogue at all. But then suddenly, like in the third game, when you do the extra bonus mission levels, he's like...
And you get to play as in the third game, you become like these top-down shooter levels, which...
You do!
I think apparently no one seems to like those levels very much. I mean, they're my least favourite levels in the game, but I don't think they're that bad.
I like them. They're fun. They're like a little... you know... Spyro 3 and Spyro 2 as well. They're made up of a series of mini games, basically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But they're also
which is what I like more than the one of my big issues with the first game is a lot of the levels you're kind of like running around.
Yeah.
Finding things with like no real like objective. Then in 2 and 3 you're meeting all these characters in the levels and you get they're trying to get you to do things. For better or for worse, Alchemist.
We'll talk. We'll reserve a whole like kind of 20 minutes to that. But like, what we're going to say in regards to the mini missions, they actually kind of modelled themselves very similarly to like arcade machines. Which look, I'm a guy that goes, I like the arcade. I love arcades.
We do love the arcade. It's true.
There's a picture of me and like you with an award we won at an arcade once.
You won me a gamer cup. I was so happy.
Yeah, but I
feel bad. I need to win you one, and then we'll
do it after the pandemic blows over. Arcade machines are unfair. I'm going to be just honest. Arcade games are designed to make you lose so you can pay more money. I feel like that was kind of modelled in the Spyro mini missions. It was kind of like this unfair little round, like you're going to fail over and over again to earn your reward. You know what I mean?
Some of them are brutal. These mini games,
especially the ones in Spyro 3, the ones I don't like. I don't like playing as Bentley the Yeti. He's really slow, really sluggish, and
Yes, Bentley and Agent 9 are really noticeably slow because, like, Spyro has a charging thing where he can, like, sprint around the map, and when you start playing as these slower characters, it's really noticeable how slow they are.
In Reignited, they've majorly fixed Agent 9. Agent 9 now controls like a third-person shooter, and it feels so good.
Cool. Yeah, well, that will be the...
I actually really enjoyed the Agent 9 missions in the Reignited trilogy. You're right, they did fix them really well. Because I do remember being really annoyed by them when I was playing on the PS1. I was like, oh my god, I hate these missions. Why is this a thing?
Yeah.
I also
That's
remember.
definitely
I also remember the Sergeant Byrne missions being a complete nightmare.
I enjoy the Sergeant Bird ones. They're fun.
But I like
flying around a lot.
You do, and it's a penguin, so I can't complain. But also, but in the Reignited trilogy, it's so much better. I think.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be fair to the developers back then. They were limited by what they could do in such a big atmospheric 3D environment to, like, you know.
Oh, I discovered this recently researching. It really needs to be stressed. The first game was made by a team of 10 people.
Okay, do you know what they did to get around like how big the levels were? This is something that's amazing. Is basically they didn't for things that were like far away in the distance, they didn't load like the whole level. So they had it so the level loaded while you flew into it, so kind of like they got more detailed as you went in.
Right, yeah. So like the draw distance kind of like would expand as you run around, basically.
Yeah, basically it's kind of like they had the things like lower res as they were further away, and then as you got closer to them, you could see
I think
more details popping out.
I think I noticed that playing it recently. Yeah, you could kind of see details kind of like coming in. Yeah,
that's an intentional thing. It's something. It's like if you don't notice it, if you don't notice there, you wouldn't know basically.
But the thing is, so the first game was made only by 10 people, which is such a ridiculously small team to make what was a tentpole game at the time. But even then, by the time they made Spyro 3, they had a team, get this, of 25 people.
So that makes Spyro 3 that much more amazing. Spyro 3 is already one of my favourite games ever, but the fact it was made by only 25 people that just blows my mind.
The games like that, you really wonder like how it was made, and like they were made so quickly. Like Spyro 2, I think they started working on it like immediately after the first game came out. I think they got it out like a year later or something, or like
especially considering like I'm quickly going on to was it Spyro Into the Dragonfly?
Oh yeah,
which is not very good.
Spyro Into the Dragonfly.
The team that made that game, they had never made a game before, and they had to rush that game out to meet a Christmas release date, so that's why it came out as a broken mess where you can easily glitch your way to the final boss from the first homeworld.
Yeah, Insomniac stopped making them, mainly because they just kind of wanted to move on and do different things, but Spyro was still owned by Universal Entertainment, I think.
Universal Interactive,
Universal Interactive, that was it. And they kept getting studios to keep making the games, and you can really see the quality drop from Insomniac leaving onwards. I wanted to say
games.
Hero
Tail was apparent. From what I played of it was quite fun. It's different, but it's fun. They tried to do more of a Jak and Daxter kind of thing. From what I played, it was kind of fun.
I want to talk about. I actually really enjoyed the Legend of Spyro games for the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, I've not played those. I think I looked at them and the gameplay just didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
That's fair, but I mean, look, I'm going to be upfront and say it. The gameplay isn't for me, but the story really is. And it's very weird. It's very weird because, I mean, I don't know if Ewan agrees with, like, maybe you enjoyed the gameplay of the games, but...
It was fine. I remember it, like, being serviceable, like, but not as engaging as, like, the original game.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think the Spyro games of old, like, put the gameplay first rather than the storyline. But in a weird kind of twist of events, the Legend of Spyro games actually put story first. And it was a bit like a weird Lord of the Rings kind of storyline that they put forward.
It is, yeah.
And they even got Elijah Wood as Spyro.
They did. They did. Yes, they did.
They had Elijah Wood and Gary Oldman voicing, which is kind of crazy to think, like, looking back. But so they were big games when they came out. Like, they were the return of Spyro at the time.
Yeah.
And so it's only recently with Spyro Reignited that they've kind of, like, pushed for them to be forgotten, I guess. But
because
they were fine.
I played Skylanders for that. Skylanders did not need to have Spyro in it.
No.
Like, they just put him in those games, so they had an IP they to attach to it, and why did they redesign it to look like a bloody pub?
Well, okay, again, for listeners, viewers, Spyro, the Skylanders games were made basically as their own thing, and Spyro was in them. But as Rob said, for some reason he was in them. But I can't hate Skylanders too much, because I think it was the same developers who did them went on to do the Reignited trilogy.
Yes, they are.
I think so, yeah.
The animated series is quite good as well. They actually give Spyro a good storyline in that, to be fair.
Right.
I've heard that.
Wow.
I heard that Crash Bandicoot, a voice in Crash Bandicoot, the appeal of Crash Bandicoot is he doesn't speak.
Oh yeah, he's Australian in the cartoon series.
What is your name, young man?
Crash Bandicoot. And I have no idea how I got here. Last thing I remember, I was on the Wampa Islands and about to free my friend Tawna from the clutches of the evil Dr. Neocortex.
Yeah, right.
Crash Bandicoot's only sound should be
But
Exactly.
but for the record,
Yeah,
they
we'll do a Crash episode eventually.
We will, but like, just for the record, because obviously there's the Legend of Spyro trilogy where they have there's amazing characters in it, including Cinder. Cinder, who's basically a dragon that like accompanies Spyro, and they have a bit of how can I say it? It's basically a romantic relationship between the two.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very cute romance.
It's very like kid friendly. It's fun, but it's there's a lot of like lore in those games, which was interesting. Like the idea that like Spyro is like a purple dragon is kind of a unique thing that happens once every generation, and Cinder's a black dragon, and so she's kind of. She's originally predisposed to be evil until, of course, Spyro essentially rescues her from
It subverts the expectation of like black being associated with darkness and evil and all that. But also bring back to what you're saying there, like Spyro the Dragon being purple, like for the whole like original trilogy of Spyro, we didn't know why he's purple. He's just a purple dragon. It's a nice colour. But in the Legend of Spyro trilogy, he literally is just like he's a purple dragon. He's the most powerful dragon of them all, and he can spout purple energy and defeat bosses. And
he's basically the avatar of the dragon universe.
Yes. Oh my god, that's a fantastic comparison. Oh my
the
god.
idea is that he can do all the different breaths. So he can do fire, ice, lightning, and earth. I think
that sounds great.
Yeah, and the final boss of like the Legend of Spyro is so epic, where you just get to use your purple ability. And you're like spurting out purple flame or whatever. It's just like, it's so cool. It is very cool.
Yeah. And Mark Hamill voiced the final villain in that as well, I should mention.
And he voiced the final villain in Avatar. He voiced Ozai, Firelord.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Wait, Mark Hamill?
Mark Hamill, yes.
Well...
Anyway, we've kind of just gone, like... fully into this conversation. I just wanted to like pull things back a little bit just to be like because we've this has become a bit of a staple is how did you first discover Spyro? I know, Rob, you kind of touched on it, so is there anything else you wanted to say, or is
I'll explain why I came to Spyro so late after these games kind of were made. So we're going to do a whole episode on PS1 eventually, just talking about different games. So touch upon some of the stuff. But I didn't actually get a PS1 until like Christmas 2001, and even then, me and my family upgraded to the PS2 like a year later. Aside from like the original Tomb Raider game, most of the games that me and my family owned were tie-in games like Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, and Toy Story Racer. So I ended up missing out on a lot of classic games. Yeah, I didn't really discover Spyro until I think 2004 when me and my siblings all clubbed together to get a GameCube, and one of the games we bought with it was Enter the Dragonfly, which as a first impression, Spyro isn't really good. I played it a couple of times. I think it was about 10 or 11, and it just didn't grab me. So I kind of didn't really know Spyro was this legendary character. But then in 2013, I started watching this YouTuber named Kadikrus, who did a lot of videos at the time talking about various games on the PS1. And I could see from his videos he clearly had a passion for the console and the games on it, and it made me realise, I missed out on all these great games.
Yeah.
So I then went on a kind of an Amazon spree, like trying to find like as many classic PS1 games as I could to play, and I eventually managed to get a copy of Spyro 3 for like £10 or something, which was pretty good because at the time it was going for like £20, and so I played it and I was instantly immersed in the game, and it just felt like pure gaming bliss to me.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to play more. I think eventually I got around to getting Spyro 2, and funny enough, I didn't actually play the original Spyro, so I played the reignited version.
Well, that's probably the best way to play the first game anyway. So, but James, what was your first experience? Do you have any interesting story?
Wow, okay.
Digging into the deep recesses.
So, I think it all started when my brother's friend, when I was like really young, my brother's friend lent my brother the video game to play, and I was like, oh my god, how's this game work, and all that. Basically, first the Glimmer level, and then we got stuck in the HUD world. And then obviously I just got stuck there for like 24/7, and eventually we had to return the game. But then I was in the shops with my grandma, and she said, I'm going to buy you a game, any game you want. And it was PlayStation 1 games. Like, this is Woolworths, by the way. I'm not sure if you guys...
Woolworths.
Yeah.
So we were shopping in Woolworths. This is a thing. This is an ancient relic at this point.
So, for those who don't know, Woolworths... I mean, you might have American listeners, they don't know what Woolworths is.
I just love that, like, for those who don't know, Woolworths was the shop.
It's just
so dead at this point.
Yeah,
I know. It's like
dead for over decades. It was a chain of shops in the UK. I think they mainly sold toys and stuff, but they sold other stuff like clothes and
it was
they'd pick a mix.
I primarily associated it as a toy shop.
For Americans watching, it was like the try and save from The Simpsons. I think it's called. Is it the try and save?
Woolworths was like a pick a mix place. I mean, it was infamous. It was infamous for its pick and mix.
It was a discount store.
It sold video games, books, and toys, and cooking appliances, and everything, basically.
Yeah.
But it was the central place in my local high street to buy video games and DVDs and VHS tapes as well. God, I feel old. But my grandma at the time was like, I'm going to buy you anything you want. I was probably like 7, 8 all the time. And she said like, whatever you want. I picked Spyro 3. So she bought me Spyro 3 and I went home and I had a PS1 at home and I just played it like all the way through, I didn't get the secret ending, unfortunately, but I played it to the point where I defeated the evil. What's her face? It's like the evil
Dragon Queen. Sorceress. Yes, that's
sorceress. Yeah, I defeated the evil sorceress, and I got the lovely cute scene with Hunter and Beatrice.
Bianca.
Bianca, and. Then Spyro's like, oh, I'm going to go hunt the eggs myself. But that's as far as I got. Yeah. But, it's a happy memory. That's how I got introduced to the trilogy. It was a gift from my grandma to conclude that.
Oh, that's lovely. So
in Woolworths.
I guess my story is just as, ancient as yours, James. In terms of all of the weird things that existed then that don't now. So I first discovered Spyro. I played the original Spyro game, Spyro 1, except I only played it on a demo disc. Remember demo discs?
Oh, yes.
Wait.
I've got an interesting story about demos, actually.
Okay.
Did you know on the original Crash and Spyro games, they hid demos of each other's games? Like on Crash 3, you entered the cheat, you got a demo for Spyro 1, and on Crash Team Racing, you got a demo for Spyro 2. Then I think Crash Bash got a demo for Spyro 3, and then for the Spyro games it was reversed. And then for Spyro 3, if you entered a cheat code on the Crash Bash demo, you played practically the whole game of Crash Bash.
Yeah, so with the demo, I remember it had like a bouncy ball game, which presumably was like a ball thing. One of those games that you had to roll the ball down like a ramp kind of thing, which I assume was like probably a PS1 title somewhere. And Tomb Raider. So I actually had a bit of the Tomb Raider game, where I think I made it through a couple of sections before I had no idea what I was doing and then stopped. But I had a couple of levels of Spyro, including the first kind of little section, and I think one of the levels. And it kind of made such a huge impression on me at the time. Like I said, I was a big Dragon fan in general, so I was kind of obsessed with Spyro as a kid. It was my favorite game.
Yeah.
To the point that my parents got me. For Christmas, eventually got me a little Spyro stuffed toy.
Oh, seriously? Oh my god!
I got one recently, actually, a Spyro plush toy. I got one. I think some website was like advertising on Facebook.
Yeah,
and I was like, Spyro plush. I was like, oh my god, I've got to get this. And I do not regret.
I've seen it on your Instagram. If you don't mind, I'm going to share a little picture of that because it's adorable.
Yeah, of course, go for it.
But also, like, for Ewan's sake as well, like. For back then, to get a soft toy, a soft Spyro toy, it was ridiculously difficult. Obviously, we're living in the age of internet. You can get a Spyro plushie toy. So can I just say your parents kick off?
I know. It was really cool. My dad also. I'll send some photos for the video because there's some fun toys. I remember so this was in 2000, literally the year 2000. This is like unrelated to Spyro, by the way, but it's interesting.
No, go talk about it. Yeah, go on.
In the year 2000, I went to the Millennium Dome when it first opened. So
I
again,
did as well.
For those who don't know, the Millennium Dome is the original name of the O2. So when it first opened, it was like basically this big kind of like fun fair kind of thing that was going on inside it.
One story about the Millennium Dome is, they had those coins for the machines there.
Yeah.
I kept my coin, and my mum was like, my mum, years later, I found it in my room. My mum was like, "Oh, well, that's probably worth money because most people just spent them in the machines." I don't know if I still have it.
Oh no, but my dad, we were walking around like all these like kind of fun fair like attractions, and there was like this big. So again, I was 5 years old at this point. It really needs to be stressed. I was already a Spyro fan by then because I saw this really big purple dragon. It wasn't Spyro, but it was like a big purple dragon toy at this basketball like thing, where you had to like throw the ball into the basket to get a prize. And if you got it into the top one, you would get this big purple dragon toy. And anyway, I was like, Dad, you've got to like win this. And he did. So it was one of the coolest things my dad ever did.
Wait, so you won an arcade machine? Like, I mean, not an arcade machine. Like,
No. It was one of those attractions where you threw a ball into a basket.
And he actually threw it into the basket?
You got it into the basket, yeah. How
the heck? I've never... that's amazing.
I'm sitting next to the big purple dragon. I've had it this whole time, the last 20 years.
How old were you when this happened, sorry?
I was born in 95, and this was the year 2000, so I was literally 5 years old.
You must have been so happy, like, oh my god, I got the Spyro toy.
It was the coolest thing ever. But yeah, anyway, I'm not even finished on the story because...
Sorry, yeah.
I played... No, it's fine. It's just, it's such a long, sprawling story. And then I think a few years after that, my mum's sister and I were at Argos because Argos had just opened. Again, this was like a big, exciting thing. This idea that you would like pick things out from a book.
I remember Argos was around for years. So,
yeah, it's still around, but it's like...
I mean, I've been around since before I was born, I think.
Yeah,
I think there was a new one that was opened near where I live.
You mean did it sort of enter the mainstream at that point? Basically, like it became
maybe
because I feel like Argos was around for years before I was born.
Yeah, because here's why I know this because basically I remember seeing adverts for a car for Action Man when I was a kid, and basically I was living at my grandma's at the time because me and my family were between houses, and I had the dream that I had this car, and I woke up convinced the dream was real, so I was running around the house looking for this Action Man car, like, well, someone's taken my Action Man car, and I never even had it to begin with. So my grandma went on a mission to get me that car for Christmas, and the only place that it was some Argos in, I think it was in Orpington, so she had to go there on her driving lesson, and she was in August for so long. Her driving instructor he might have to start trying to chat up the traffic warden.
What?
All this to get me this Action Man car for Christmas.
That's wow.
So yeah, like it was either the first Argos I'd ever been to, or it had been newly opened. Either way, I was excited at this new novel way of shopping where you would look at things from a book. And so I remember looking through it, and they had in there Spyro 3, Year of the Dragon, which I think, Mum must have just, agreed to buy it, or she, like, similar to you, James, she must have been like, oh, if you want to get something, well, I'll get it for you kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I picked it out. And I'll always remember this. I remember my sister got the Lizzie McGuire movie from that same shopping spree. So I have always tied Spyro 3 in my head with the Lizzie McGuire movie. So,
you are an outfit repeater. Does she not have anything better to do than make my life miserable? Welcome to the most important day of my life. My big chance to show the world who I am.
Whenever I play it, I can even hear like the music. Yeah, so that was, that's the crazy world of, I guess, early 2000s. And I think that's why I like to tell these like stories of how we first came across these things, because they capture such a time capsule of like that particular moment. It kind of, when you discover something for the first time, it kind of freezes in your brain, and you remember like all of like the context surrounding it.
But yes, even me, because I think a lot of the things we've discussed so far have been things I think it's going to be the case for a lot of things, is stuff I got into later rather than as a kid.
Oh yeah. Well, as you said, like if you didn't have a PlayStation growing up, it's like it's realizing just like, I mean, I had this recently was I started going crazy buying like the original Tomb Raider games. I got the other two Crash Bandicoot games. I got Silent Hill. I got
Resident
Evil. I started going crazy buying all of these old games because like, you don't realize how much of a treasure trove PlayStation, like the PlayStation 1 originally was. It kind of got overshadowed by the PlayStation 2. Like the PlayStation 2 was like this big event.
Oh yeah, because I got the PS1 at the very end of its life cycle. So even then you had like tie-in games and Tomb Raider.
But like the PlayStation 1 had like so much going for it. But we'll talk about PlayStation 2 games as well. But like, the PlayStation 1 was kind of amazing. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to doing the PS1 episode because it is on the list.
Oh yeah, of course. There's a lot to discuss. Back to Spyro. We were talking about the music. Yeah, like a lot of it is burned into my brain, especially tracks from Spyro 3.
Oh, same here. I mean, that was the first one I played. So when I pretty played it over the summer. The music just was one of the reasons I love the game. Especially, I think my favourite track on the game is one called Seashell Shore. I'm not sure if James is in a clip of it.
Yeah, Seashell's great.
It's just like this really fun, bouncy number, and I just get really into it. And I hear it. I was tempted to learn it on guitar at one stage.
Mm-hmm. I've got Sergeant Bird's like military theme drilled into my head.
That is great.
Every so often, I'll just think about that tune.
Also, can we just talk about the fact that like all the birds, like the NPCs are all just like French birds.
They're all French hummingbirds. Yeah, he's Bird, Sergeant Bird. He's the James Bond. Yeah, James Bird. That's it. He's the James Bond of the Spyro universe. There's even a level later on where he goes on a date with a fairy, I think.
Yeah.
So there's a whole. He's a suave penguin.
And there is a level where there is a furry Lara Croft in Spyro 3 as well.
Right? Wait, which one?
It's the ancient... It's like some kind of like tomb level where at the end you see this furry Lara Croft come out the tomb, and she's like, you're here to take my treasure, aren't you? Oh, well, all that was in here was a stupid egg. You can have it.
Yeah. She has like a really English accent. Yeah. That's the crazy thing. Like looking, Lara Croft was such a recognizable character even then. Like that they were referencing her.
Games, I knew who she was because she's in LucasAid adverts. I remember watching
Yes.
a LucasAid advert where this guy was playing Tomb Raider, and then he pulls to take a LucasAid. Then while the game's paused, like Lara Croft and the guy she's fighting just pull out LucasAids.
And you're right, the LucasAid ads and stuff like that, but also she was on the front of every cheap game manual of PlayStation 1 games ever.
Oh yeah.
And going back, and also demo disc manuals as well.
She was kind of the more because Crash Bandicoot and Spyro were the kid-friendly mascots of PlayStation, but Lara Croft was the cool teenager / adult game character, and it's partly to do with the sexuality, but also
interesting you say that because she's associated with PlayStation, but she released on the Sega Saturn before the PlayStation, but she got so.
Oh really?
We'll do 2 major episodes. She came out on the Saturn a couple of months before the PS1.
The problem for Lara Croft being on the Sega Saturn is that nobody remembers the Sega Saturn.
Most people think it was Genesis, then Dreamcast. They forget the Saturn existed.
Oh, I mean, Rob, you're being kind to Dreamcast at this point.
Dreamcast was actually a good console.
It was, but it didn't sell.
I actually remember the Dreamcast existing, but I didn't know who made it. I remember reading that in kiddie magazines and stuff.
Before I make the next point, I think Dreamcast had a bit of a promotional failure. Do you know what I mean? It didn't have the exclusives apart from Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, and it just didn't really involve by that.
Also, you could easily pirate games onto it because the laser was really rubbish. So you could easily pirate games. You could just burn a game onto a blank CD and play it on the Dreamcast.
I did not know that. We have to talk about that on. When we should do a Dreamcast episode.
Yeah, I'll put it on the list.
I'm trying to think of what my favorite music it is. It might be the Evening Lake. Yeah,
that's got a really cool. What's it called? Homeworld. It's got the.
Yeah,
replace my singing it with a sample, but
yeah. No, I mean, James, we were just saying,
I went to play the PS4 game earlier, the Reignite trilogy, and when I heard the Spyro theme playing, going whatever, I was just oh my god, this is amazing! And to hear it all orchestrated once again, it was just it's amazing what they've done with it. And but even also the original games, there's kind of retro feel. The soundtrack is very nice. It's just
that old PlayStation audio.
Yeah, I mean,
really has aged. It's aged well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think my favorite boot up screen of all time is that PS1 boot up screen. Hearing that just brings back so much nostalgia. And even today just sounds so awesome. Why can't consoles do that now?
There's something to be said. This is an actual very geeky game critic term, but it's game feel. What is it about Spyro especially, but also Crash Bandicoot? The game feel, the way that the game feels when you're playing it is just so, as you said, Rob, it's gaming bliss. It's just so fun to play and run around smashing boxes to get gems, and the gems make this really nice little jingling sound when you collect them.
Because when I first played them in Spyro 3, I'd play it for hours because I was just so immersed in what I was doing.
Yeah. You get sucked into its world like nothing else. There's just so much variety and character, and especially the hub worlds. The hub worlds feel very alive, and stuff's going on in them.
That's the thing. I think that's what separates Spyro from Sonic the Hedgehog and Crash Bandicoot in a way, and Mario as well. It's the fact that they made the hub worlds and every level immersive. in the sense that like you could literally explore the HUD you're going to go around. You know, it wasn't like a warp room in Crash Bandicoot where you could just run around in the like 2D side scroll sort of thing. You literally, it was a whole world. It was a whole world you can jump into. And you can jump into another world, and in that world you had multiple missions to do. You know, you felt like it's one of the earliest examples of an open world, I'd argue.
The thing with with Mario is that Mario has a very set, like, because like I said, Spyro is very similar to Mario in terms of design, but Mario has such a set selection of characters and things that have to be in the Mario game. You know what I mean? There's very little, well, apart from maybe once they got to like Mario Odyssey, they really started like pushing like, oh, you know, there's all sorts of stuff. But even then, it's always kind of limited to like Nintendo stuff. Whereas you really get the sense with Spyro of like, like they could reference whoever they wanted, they could do whatever they wanted.
They did you could go any of the stuff. That's why I love Spyro, the variety of the different levels you've got, and like the character in each world has its like own identity. One of my favourite things in Spyro 2 is I think there's kind of like a war between slugs and birds. Like in one level, you're helping out the bugs, then the next, then another level in the same homeworld, you're helping out the birds. Yeah. And one big thing is there's like Romeo and Juliet thing going on between there's a female bird called Juliet and a kind of like slug monster called Romeo. And part of the mission is you've got to go and fetch Juliet.
Also, from a technical okay, you finished, Rob?
No.
I was finished.
The technical difficulty is like, I think Mario 64 didn't have a brilliant camera, if I'm honest. It didn't. The camera, I mean, it was the first time they've ever done this kind of what?
Oh, that's the sound it makes.
I love Mario 64, and I love Mario Sunshine and stuff like that. But like the camera in Mario 64 was just so kind of limited. Whereas in Spyro, they did eventually get control of the camera to the point where you can follow your character around and stuff like that. And
one downside of Mario 64 as well is that bloody N64 controller is a nightmare.
Oh my god, don't even start. Like, I had to play
Pokemon. What I do and just use my PlayStation controller.
I remember playing like Pokemon Arena and all that on it. Pokemon Arena and Pokemon Snap.
Pokemon Stadium.
Pokemon Stadium, sorry. No, not Pokemon Arena. Pokemon Stadium, you're right, yeah. And Pokemon Snap.
Well, let's talk about, I think, James, this is probably really obvious for you, but who would you say your favourite character is in Spyro? Just in the whole pantheon.
Well, it's a certain penguin called Sergeant Bird, obviously, because like he's just cool. He's a flying penguin with missiles coming out of his ears. He's doing great. So, Sergeant Bird.
I mean, I'm going to say give a boring answer and say Spyro, just because Spyro is so cool. But I do have a soft spot for Agent 9. He's like a crazy monkey who's obsessed with shooting things.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, I was playing his missions today, and he is like really erratic and fun, where he's like shouting about, "Oh, did you see a Reinhardt? I thought I saw a Reinhardt." He's like, go to,
I can imagine him being a character in Reboot. I can genuinely imagine him being a character in the Reboot universe, just zapping everything.
You're not on season 3 yet. There is a character who has a kind of a similar vibe to him in season 3.
All right.
I think I'm gonna I love Spyro, but like I think I was always a bit of a Hunter fan. Like especially now replaying it, I think I'm more of a Hunter fan than I was before. So in the first, he's introduced in Spyro 2, and he's kind of just a kind of a slapstick character. He's kind of goofing off and kind of useless. But then with Spyro 3, they really up his character and they make him really like cool. And for me, he was like a teenager, like big brother who like you would go up to, and he was doing all the cool stuff like skateboarding.
What I like about Hunter is that in the original games, at least, he's kind of a bit goofy. He's kind of like he's trying to be cool, but he's kind of just a bit thick.
Yeah.
But in Spyro, but I think that's one thing with the Reignited trilogy, that some of the voice acting's a bit hit and miss. I think one of the things they did with Hunter is they kind of made him a bit more Sonic the Hedgehog-like.
Right.
It does. I do sense that a lot, actually, with the cheesy statements he makes and jokes and whatever. which Sonic
a lot
does.
of the voice acting in the Reignite it just feels more like generic cartoonish voices.
Yeah.
I think the original voices have like more of a charm to them. Like, I mean, there's a particular favourite of mine. I think it's a level in Spyro 3 called Icy Peak, where it's got these Penguins got these really cool sounding voices.
Yeah. Oh, are they the like really like chilled out penguins?
Yeah, those ones. Yeah. Those penguins they had in the original they had such cool voices, and in the Reignite they just sound generic.
That's 100%, because like looking back like at the Spyro 2 and 3, the characters are very cool and the voice actors are very cool. But like with every dragon you unlocked in Spyro 1, they were every time there was like there's some wacky voice behind the dragon that you like saved or whatever.
Yeah.
And
there's a real variety.
Yeah, there's a real variety. And there's like one dragon you save, right, where he just goes like, "Oh, I always thought you could do it, Spyro. You gotta believe."
I never thought I'd be rescued, especially by such a little dragon. What I mean is, I always believed in you, Spyro.
You gotta believe.
You can really
reminded me of Parappa the Rapper, because Parappa the Rapper's catchphrase is, "I gotta believe."
You can really see the progression, I think, from that kind of like cheeky, like goofy writing. You can really see the progression first through like the Spyro games, but then you can really see it like how it would eventually transform into Ratchet and Clank, who Insomniac went on to develop.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Reminds me of something to bring back, because I mentioned the level in Spyro 2 with the robots in the in the city who kind of like in business suits. In Spyro 2, those robots look pretty much exactly like Clank.
They do,
kind of like prototype Clank.
Yeah.
And then obviously they changed it for Reignited because Reignited was made up by Insomniac, and Insomniac would sue their they made him look like Clank.
That's interesting that they changed the appearance.
Yeah.
They changed a lot of the character designs in Reignited. Some for the better, some for the worse.
Sure.
I do
Moneybags is a big businessman bear.
Okay. Moneybags.
He nicks all your money. He basically says, "Oh yes, Spyro, you can cross the bridge if you pay me a small fee."
His whole thing is, I really love Moneybags' like really snide remarks that he always makes, where he's just like, Spyro, I see you're here again, and now you see, I know that you're a plucky young dragon who's in need of some help. So the first thing he says in Spyro 3 is, "I haven't seen you since we defeated Ripto in Avalar," the villain in the second game.
Well, that's the thing.
Moneybags had nothing to do with that.
the thing is, with Moneybags, is the character. He's the character we love to hate. He's the character we love to hate. 100%.
I love the bit at the end of Spyro 3
where
you
that's the thing. The developers like kind of catch on to the fact that everyone hates him. Is like, right, so you've had to deal with him for the past game or whatever. So here's an opportunity to kick his ass and steal all the money back from him. Go for it.
It is really sad.
And he's literally just running away like, "No, please don't kick my
Can we just go back and talk about Ripto, because Ripto is probably the greatest villain in all of Spyro.
Well, he's like a petulant child.
He's really he's got kind of like a Napoleon complex about him.
Yeah, because he's about all of 3 feet tall, and he's smaller than Spyro.
There's a bit where Spyro like shoots at him, and he's like, you singed my cape!"
He's like, he's got a really interesting voice actor who he makes him sound like a really just kind of angry teenager or something. It's like really funny to me because he's like running around like going, "I'll take over this place," and he just sounds adorable when he's doing it. And he's got his two big monster buddies that he hangs out with.
"You ate my scepter!"
They're like these two idiot like monsters that are the main bosses of the game, and then of course Ripto has a really great boss battle. At the end of
which
Spyro,
you can cheat if you're replaying the game, because
I
was going to say Spyro 2 has one of the coolest 100% bonuses of all the games. Like,
is this when
basically basically what happens is in the Spyro trilogy, you get a power-up called Supercharger, but it gives you a super powerful flame for a limited time. When you 100% the Spyro 2, you get unlimited super flame.
Yes.
Which when you first get it, you're like, huh? I've already beaten the game. What's the point of this? And then you start a new save game on the memory card and find out you've got permanent super flame. And it completely breaks certain sections. But on the plus side, it makes the Alchemist mission less annoying, even though you still have to do the Alchemist twice.
Treetops is worse.
The Alchemist... Well, okay.
I'll explain why it's so annoying.
Yeah.
So the Alchemist is this character. Basically, Hunter's been a complete idiot, and he's got his feet stuck in like bricks of cement. And the only person who can get him out is this Alchemist. And you have to lead this Alchemist around all these stone giants, and he's jumping around here and everywhere. If he gets hit by one stone giant, you have to do the whole thing over and over again. That sounds annoying.
May you escort me with my potion?
Yes. And then what's more annoying is when you do that mission, you get to do another mission with Hunter. But you can only do that mission if you've unlocked the head bash, which you learn from money bags.
Which you won't have done by that point.
If you do the Alchemist mission, and then you can't do the one with Hunter, but then you come back. You have to do the Alchemist mission all over again, even if you've already done it.
One thing I noticed with a really big improvement from Spyro 2 to Spyro 3 is that with Spyro 2, in some cases, you had to kill all of the enemies to get certain power-ups to work, and there would be no like shortcuts or anything to the end. Whereas with Spyro 3, they introduced shortcuts to the end of every level once you've completed it. So you basically have a free roam of the whole level, and you don't have to. And if you want to use a power-up, you don't have to kill a certain number of enemies to do it. So it just really speeds things up and means you don't have to like repeat stuff over and over.
I mean, when I play these games, I normally try and do everything I can in one go anyway.
Oh, yeah. But that's the thing with that specific Alchemist mission is that you stumble across it and realise that you have to do it again.
Could we we can carry back. We'll go back to the Alchemist mission and stuff like that. But like, I want to know from you guys if you had this. Basically, when you do the Ripto boss fight, if you do not move, like if you don't move an analog stick or whatever, Ripto doesn't move as well. Did you guys get that as well? Because
I didn't notice that. No.
Yeah. You know,
I noticed that. Yeah.
You noticed that? Okay, good. Because I'm not going mad.
Well, I didn't.
I normally just run around because I don't want to get killed.
Well, no. There must be a reason for them doing that, because in the original game that was the case, and in the Reignited trilogy it was also the case. So I don't know if they'd like actually included that for like some.
It's a deliberate thing. I noticed it in Spyro 3 with one of the enemies that he didn't start until I started.
That's
so
very
I think
strange.
I think it's just a boss like
basically
it's like a
sit down and think about what you're going to do next or whatever sort of thing.
it's like a Mexican standoff. Like they're thinking what they're going to do.
I've just remembered another mission that's a bit annoying. You have to keep doing again. It's similar to the Alchemist in Spyro 3. It's probably one of the only missions in that game that I really don't like. It's this one where you've got these fireflies with bombs who are trying to. Yes, they light these bombs so they can release dragon eggs from the cages, and you've got to lead them past all these rocks and mushrooms. Yeah. And if they hit a mushroom or a rock, they lose, and then you keep sitting there and go, "Ow! I went boom again."
Yeah, and you have to do it all over again.
Oh my god! It's like the bomb mission, the bomb guidance mission, essentially, where you have to like. I'm going to say it. That is the worst mission in Spyro. I hated it even more than the Tree Boy mission.
Even more than Treetops.
I hated it more than Treetops. And you know what I mean?
So Treetops.
In my defence, I had access to the internet when I did Treetops because, like, I could get a tutorial or whatever and guide me. But, like, that mushroom mission is just so infuriating.
So the irritating thing with Treetops in the first game is that it's basically broken, and impossible to know what you're doing unless you find a walkthrough that basically explains to you in detail what you need to do. Because basically you have the supercharge, which allows you to like move around really fast and jump over like really like high or long distances.
Yeah.
And it's basically you have to make a ton of different really elaborate jumps that you would never think to do ever to get to this one specific island that a dragon statue is on that you cannot even see. Most of the level, you don't even know it's there.
Well,
said that you. I remember you saying I think when you played, you said, if you're high, it makes sense. I don't do that stuff. So
I was doing a tutorial when I played the Reignited trilogy. I'm going to say this now. I didn't complete 100%. I didn't 100% the original trilogy on the PS1. I 100%ed it though. I'm going to edit in some proof of this. I 100% all the games on the Reignited trilogy. When I did the treetop missions, literally as I was going through the tutorial, I was just like, seriously. This is someone thought this was a good idea. Someone.
What?
One of them is like the person at Insomniac who thought up that. Like, what happens to him that day that made him think he was going to
one of the
design that awful level?
One of the problems with Spyro 1 is the level design, where they really felt the need to have all of these hiding spots for some of the statues you need to find. And the problem with that is that some of these hiding spots, like I said, you cannot see them anywhere on the map.
Yeah.
You literally have to like just guess. Sometimes you'll need to like jump off like a thing towards a bottomless pit, only then to go, oh, there's a thing I can land on. Like, but you would have no way of knowing before you jumped into the void. Where
most of the times I die on Spyro are due to bottomless pits.
Yeah. And that's something I really noticed with Spyro 2 is that whereas with Spyro 1 there were a lot of bottomless pits, Spyro 2 they pulled that way back and you like barely see any at all. Spyro 3 they kind of bring a few more back, but man, like Spyro 2 you can tell they just really reduced the amount of like drop.
One thing I noticed with the Spyro 3, that last homeworld, it's like they it feels like they increased the difficulty, but not in a oh my god, this is so annoying kind of way. It's kind of like it feels like a nice kind of challenge. It feels like you kind of engages your brain, but you're still having fun.
Yeah, it feels like you're in space or something because like the other like 3 hub worlds are like all grounded, like they're all normal, but then like the last one, you go up there with a rocket, and then once you're there, it's all like platforms and there's like a million bottomless pits that you can fall down.
I think it's supposed to be a mountain.
Midnight Gardens. But yeah, it's a lot. It's pretty scary in comparison to the other like levels, which are all fairly nice and relaxed in comparison. Another thing that I noticed with Spyro 2 is that there are no enemies in the hub world, whereas there are enemies in Spyro 1. So again, like the second game really allows you to kind of take your time, whereas Spyro 1 you always feel a little bit on edge because there's like danger everywhere.
It's
so
the
closest
to Resident Evil in that regard.
Yeah. Well, Resident Evil even has like it starts you off in some safe zones, like and then you run into your first zombie on like the second room you go into. So it does hit you with that.
I think a learning curve can be like reflected from the game developers throughout the games though. Like the first game, let's be honest, like some of the levels are inaccessible. Like the Treetops level is not from modern days, even back then it's not accessible. It's just like ridiculous. But then the second game I think is way more accessible. It's like it's so accessible to the point where like getting a full on 100% is realistic. And like the third game builds up on that. It's like it's not only realistic to complete it, but also it's experimental. And they're comfortable with the mechanics that they build. Yeah.
One thing I found was interesting when I was replaying them all is I thought Spyro 3 kind of felt like it merged elements of 1 and 2 because there's the things like in the first game, when you kill one enemy, they turn into a gem. They bring it back for Spyro 3, same with the egg thieves who are absent from Spyro 2.
Yeah.
The egg thieves. Shall we talk about the egg thieves? Because I don't think we've talked about them yet.
We haven't. No, you're right. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
They are synonymous with Spyro and irritants because I think a lot of people as kids were never able to catch those damn egg thieves.
So
basically, that's all they hear.
I love the thieves. They were always a great challenge for me. But I agree. Like the biggest thing with them is that they're usually in spots where you can run off for like a cliff. So they're very meanly placed sometimes. But yeah, basically you have to run around and chase them to get the eggs that they're stealing.
I remember them most fondly from Spyro 3 though. Like literally those missions were like the most fun. Like I remember being really challenged when I was in not even high school, like primary school or whatever, like just like going after the thing going like it's like, oh my god, this is so hard. And also in Spyro 3 when they had the speed boost level, where you had to like kind of charge and there's like these arrows or whatever and then like platform you're running on. Those were the most stressful things ever, but like when you got but when you got to the end of them it was just like, oh my god, yes, I got the egg.
It felt so satisfying to finally get them as well.
Yeah,
it's that game feel. Like something about it. Like even finding the eggs is really satisfying because they open up and like the little dragons running around and the little sound effects they make are great.
I love the names of something. I remember in Evening Lake there is one you get the egg by going inside the whale, and a dragon inside the egg is called Jonah.
Yeah. That's great.
That's an amazing thing. Is that there's literally a name for every dragon, so there's a dragon for everyone, really. There's a dragon.
There's one called Cerny, who's kind of modelled after Mark Cerny, who's a big guy. He's involved in like Crash and Spyro. He's at work Universal Interactive.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So last year they released Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel, which was fantastic, and they added in as a playable character. I think it's one of the Grand Prix. I did Spyro as a playable character, which was just amazing to me. That's like the one thing the original game was missing, being able to play as Spyro.
Yeah.
There you go.
And another point is there's a new Crash Bandicoot game coming out.
Yeah, I want to talk about
next
this.
month.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we'll get something similar for Spyro.
Look, a
new Spyro game.
There's gonna be a new Spyro game. There is no doubt about it. It's like it was one of the best-selling video games to be released, the Reignite trilogy, and like obviously people are in demand for both Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. Literally, there's forums and like Reddit posts and Quora articles about it, like just saying like, bring back Spyro, you know?
Yeah. What I'd want from it is I want something like what it looks like we're getting from Crash is a brand new game that builds off of the original trilogy with that same gameplay, but adding new mechanics. Like Crash has got like these new mask mechanics which add new abilities. So it's like an extension of that original Crash trilogy, which a lot of people consider to be like the pinnacle of both franchises.
Yeah. I think it would be nice. This is the weird thing. I know we talked about like how the story doesn't matter too much, but I am kind of like, I'd like to see all the old characters come back. I'd love to see the Professor and Hunter and Bianca as well.
I've seen
the four. I forget her name from Spyro 2. The Fawn,
Alora.
Yeah.
So, those two characters, Alora and the Professor, they were prominently in Spyro 2, but then they were barely in Spyro 3. I think Alora only appears in the last cutscene of Spyro 3, and the Professor only appears in Agent 9's world.
Yeah. It'd be nice to see all these characters come back.
Yeah, I've also seen videos discussing about like, you know, Cinder coming back as well, like being introduced into the like new canon, as it were. So
that would be cool. It would be nice to see like other small dragons. Poor Spyro's all alone.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I think it'd be very, very cool. So.
Well, if they do make a new game, as long as they bring back Tom Kenny, we'll hopefully be safe. So, in terms of the game's quality. But yeah, no, that's fingers crossed for the future of Spyro, I guess.
I think we can't just hit on points for like every game in the series.
We've touched on everything, yeah. I got the high score or I beat the high score in Spyro on the skateboarding Enchanted Towers level. That's all I wanted to say.
So to finish off, I was going to ask what our favourite game is. I think it's unanimously agreed that Year of the Dragon is just the pinnacle of Spyro.
No. I think Spyro 2 is my favourite one.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I can see like those two are pretty close, but 3 just about edges it out for me.
That's fair enough.
I think Spyro 3, I've got a lot of nostalgia for it, but even then, like replaying it now, it holds up. Like, because I'm not playing the Reignited trilogy, I'm just playing the original, and it holds up so well even today. And I actually love the story in it, because it kind of builds up a little bit. Whereas the first game, or the second game rather, is basically Spyro wants to go on holiday, and this annoying guy Ripto gets in the way.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Spyro 3, it goes into, like, it has stakes. You gotta
definitely
the baby dragon.
But I think that's what divides. I think that's what divides me and my opinion a little bit, because like there's a simplicity to Spyro 2 that I enjoyed, like just like kind of like, oh, you got to defeat the bad guy and get back to your own world or whatever.
As much as I love Spyro 3, I think Ripto's just the best villain.
Oh yeah, he's the funnest.
But I think the fact that like the stakes are low, it's a bit more cartoonish for me. It's a simplicity that I enjoy, and like that's mainly the reason why I prefer the second game.
Yeah, no, of course.
That's totally fair.
But also I do love the third game as well. The third game
is just so jam packed with like
penguins.
Penguins. Like
and of course, no one says Enter the Dragonfly.
No, please don't play Enter the Dragonfly, viewers and listeners. Just do not bother. I played Enter the Dragonfly as a kid and never finished it because even though I was the biggest Spyro fan ever, even then I could tell the game sucked. So, no.
Okay, so on that note, we have social media. We have social media pages. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are at BloobcastPod. And you can also email us at bloobcast@outlook.com if you have any feedback for us, or if you want to even suggest us future episodes. And
tell us about your Spyro experiences.
Yeah, of course. And as well as that, we are on Apple Podcasts. So please give us a rating and review. It really helps us out.
And also subscribe to the YouTube channel.
And listen to us on SoundCloud, I guess.
Yes. Listen.
I listen to the podcast now while I'm baking. It's surprisingly therapeutic. So,
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, I recommend it to all my friends, all my family, and everyone out there as well. Please check us out. We are an interesting bunch.
We really are.
James, would you like to do the honours of introducing what we're going to be talking about next time?
Next time we'll be talking about X-Men movies. So the original sort of superhero movie franchise that inspired the MCU, the DCU, whatever thing. It's inspired the modern image of the superhero franchise. So keep tuned for that.
Some of the movies are interesting to talk about.
Like, well, actually, Rob, you go ahead. Give us some examples.
We'll talk about that next time.
I mean, I'm watching them all now as research, and I watched The Last Stand yesterday, and my thoughts on that differ from James's, so that will be interesting to discuss.
We have conflicting opinions, so we will find out.
All right, well, thank you guys. We'll speak to you next time.
Until next time.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.